you don't adapt, you die. Obviously cash being king, once you had that cash to be able to invest, it was a bit of a scary thought really, to be able to think, where do I go? My gut was screaming to me to say, Steve, double down, invest. You know this, you know the town, you know Dubai. It was a life lesson. I said this to a few of my friends. If you want an opinion on something, educate yourself. Give yourself a chance. There's no such thing as quick, instant wealth. Yeah, that's how it works.
Hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of our Riv podcast. Today's guest is Steve Kilby. Steve has more than 20 years experience in marketing. Actually, he started from a garage in the UK and he recently came to Dubai and he founded Amplify, which is one of the leading marketing agency here in Dubai. He has worked with brands like Pepsi, like Amazon, and now recently he's also in Web3. He recently founded a new company called SportsLive, which aims to democratize the access of data for football players, but sports players in general. So, hello, Steve.
Thank you for having me.
So, how was the life in the UK and how is life in Dubai?
So, UK, nothing like Dubai. I mean, for a start, it rains every day. Coming here, I'm sure as you guys, when you first arrived, you maximise the sun. And I think the first 5 years is all about brunch, going out, meeting new people, experiencing different cultures. And everything I learned, I guess, in the UK and in working in Europe was out the window. I quickly learned. It just doesn't work like that here. Everything's a lot slower, I'd say. London's a rat race. You're spending 2-3 hours driving. You go to a meeting, then you're maybe on the tube, and here is just a different lifestyle. And I think quality of life, obviously, it's safe and secure. To bring a family here, and to have your wife to be able to walk the streets safe and secure. I think that's really the big difference for me.
Dubai is a great place to raise kids, actually. Many people don't agree with that, but
absolutely. I think everything's balanced, right? I think with children, we're lucky because everything's perfect here, but the world's not perfect, right? And I think for children, they can be growing up in a bubble and it's not the real world. And I think it's nice to have that, ability to step in and step out. We're lucky to have, fantastic airports and airlines, probably two of the world leading airlines here, right?
But
so,
actually, Steve, you live here it's 15 years you live here, something like that. So you saw also Dubai grow. We see Dubai now. We are living in Dubai now, but how was it before of all of this? 10 years ago, 12 years ago, how was it?
Yeah, I mean, thinking back, I came here, one of my friends had moved to Dubai, working in car sales, and invited all the friends from our local city, Coventry, to come over a game of golf. And I'll be straight and honest with you, the UAE, I remember it being in a sticker book, a football sticker book when I was a kid, and always wondering where on earth the UAE was.
Where is it?
And I remember saying to my parents, so I'm going to go over to the UAE to play golf. And they were like, what?
Where?
Is it by Iraq, or Afghanistan? Yeah, but no, it's fine apparently. So we came over, a few lads from Coventry. We obviously had no idea what we were walking into. And the building work, I mean, what we're talking, it's got to be 2010, maybe, around 2010. So to give you an example, not even half, maybe a quarter of the Burj Khalifa was built. And, you're getting a taxi here and literally you're driving past DIFC and all these areas. It's just literally like a Lego project. You're looking around, you're just seeing probably
buildings.
50-60% of the world's cranes were in Dubai.
Crazy.
I think something ridiculous like that. And the marina was empty. Literally the marina, I think they'd filled maybe half of it. And I remember saying to one of my friends, who's going to live here? How are they going to get all these people into Dubai and
it's the same things that I can think about, or maybe of Dubai Islands or all these places far towards the desert, where you pass now, you see buildings. You say, who's gonna come and live here? But apparently, they are expecting more and more citizens here. So
it's huge expansion. I mean, you look at the new terminal that's coming in. You know,
Yeah,
like
the new
20 or
airport.
30. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. I think it'll make it
huge.
something double the size of the
Yeah,
biggest
yeah.
airport currently in the world, and that's the reason why you come here, right?
Yeah.
Is if you, I mean, at the time, I think it took me a couple of years from my first visit to officially move here, right? We had the UK office, we did work here, we'd won major clients, we'd won a number of the portfolios for GSK, working with brands. I mean, previous, it was very hard for an independent or even an international agency with 3 or 4 offices to be able to go into London and knock on, you know, a Pepsi door or a GSK door or a P&G door.
Just
and
work with them.
Yeah, and you come, well, I came here and, God, I'll show my age now, like, maybe 2011, 2012, you had MySpace come out.
Yeah, exactly.
MySpace, everyone probably, you know, not many of the generation watching on YouTube will even know what MySpace is. And then Facebook a year or two later. And, you know, to go back to the garage setup, you know, I just saw this change in globally, really, in the way content was going to be coming through. And, you know, obviously you had radio, then you had TV, and that changed the world, especially the marketing world. And for me, I'd started my career in audiovisual, really. So very much, you know, working behind sound, like learning sound desks on events. I've done some crazy stuff. I mean, I did vision mixing for Kylie's relaunch tour in the UK. You get to see behind the scenes of what goes on in a concert. And then the next minute, I can be doing, you know, Sports Coach of the Year awards with Princess Anne and traveling all around the world. And I saw that opportunity, I think, in using the content that we use on these big screens and vision mixing and for TV going mainstream, and, you know, everyone else becoming the content creator in places like Facebook, YouTube, being the place where you essentially publish your life, meet new people and new cultures. And, you know, back to where you were saying about Dubai, is this opportunity. It's the youngest population this side of the world, you know, Saudi, India, the rest, the investment, the forward thinking, the vision. Absolutely. Here.
But I think that when you started all of your career, like from that garage, something sparked in your head. Like I don't want to work for someone. I want to have my own road. I want, this is what I like, because I had those feelings when I started all of my ideas, my adventures in the business field. So how did you feel? Like, what was that make it start? What was the spark that light up that moment, that business?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was my son being born. I mean, I was unable, the opportunities in the UK were few and far between for a lad of 20, 21 years old. And, you know, traditional banking was around. It's very hard to be able to raise finance. Literally going in, you had to present a traditional 30, 40-page business plan to a HSBC, a Lloyds Bank or an RBS. And that was really tough. And being honest, the reason I started my business was I couldn't find a job that paid enough money for me to buy a house to be able to provide for my children. And there was no, you know, there was no YouTube or no ability or, you know, academies.
It was like panic mode. It's like,
absolutely.
I'm a fan of panic mode. I think that panic mode is the best mode. Like, a lot of times you're stressed out. People say I'm stressed out, but for some people like me, we need it. Like,
absolutely.
We need stress. We need to be in that situation to be able to perform the best.
Yeah, you've got everything to lose, haven't you? And I think, you know, you're putting real money on the table. And I mean, the garage story came around is I'd worked for a company called Studio 45, which was essentially, that would have been, I guess, classed as a digital agency. But
back...
no YouTube, you know, doing video work, events and conferences and stuff like that. And I'd seen this company, they'd launched several years before I'd started working. I'd joined 19, talking a few years ago now, and as essentially a YTS. And this company had been around for a while. They were great at marketing, but, you know, they'd stagnated, basically. They'd struggled to be able to continue that momentum. And I started working there, learned a lot. As they wound down, you know, I went from being behind a camera, setting up audio equipment, to running the hire desk and I even worked in accounts, I worked in sales.
That's the nice thing of...
You learn everything.
You learn everything.
Yeah.
You are forced to learn to do every job on the company.
And that's
if you start without money, because when you start, you don't. If you start from nothing, from a garage without, if you start with $1 million in the bank,
it's easier. Right?
Yeah, it's easy.
You can hire people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not easy, but it's not easy, but it's easier. That's the point. Because doing business, it's not easy.
Yeah,
it's easier. But if you start with no money, you have to take care of. Building your own website, for example. Like I had to build my own website. It was shit. It was crap. But
yeah, I'm a lot older.
I couldn't
than you.
afford anybody to build it. I didn't have any money to
Absolutely.
do that.
I think now you have those, almost drag and drop websites that you can use straight away. I mean, when I launched, there wasn't even a website. Like you didn't have it. Yeah, of course, websites were there, but it wasn't like the WordPresses of today, and the ability to be able to do an e-commerce and Shopify. It was just that people weren't transacting. And the garage. To go back to the garage story, is that I'd worked at this company. It had got into real bad trouble, and it had gone into receivership. And I was a young kid. So basically, the administrator paid me to stay on and classify all the assets in this company. So, not only have I started doing lots of different jobs and getting a feel for what I like and what I didn't like, and going around and meeting or listening to people's stories at conferences and events, like sitting on the desk, like the guys are here. And I'd heard about this company going into administration, a company based just outside of Birmingham. And one of my colleagues who I'd worked with at the former company, he was like, look, the administrators are going in, they're going to sell everything. There's millions of dollars worth of equipment there. Why don't we take a punt on it and see if we can, go to auction and get it? And anyway, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So,
that was the all-in.
Yeah.
That's the all-in.
I've done this too many times, and my wife will tell you and my kids will tell you that they need to rein me in sometimes, But we went all in, and then we basically took 2 credit cards, around £20,000, which doesn't sound a lot now, and definitely not, in Dubai, but for me, it was like a massive gamble. Yeah. And we basically put this offer into the administrator, and it was the same administrator that I'd worked with at the former company.
Crazy.
So I think we dropped an email over, and they basically said, here's your lots, have a look at all lots. So of course, as you do, just take everything, right? See what comes in. And we get the phone call to say, your bid's been accepted. And we're like, shit, I think it was about £10,000. And we're like, where are we going to store this equipment? What have we bought? We didn't even know, this sound naive and young. It's just, we knew there was a company there and there was some value there.
What is there in it?
Yeah, and the guy goes, so we basically, well, I'm sure we can get it all in our cars. And I think I had an estate car at the time, and we kind of phoned them up, and you're trying to act professional because I don't want to let them know that Obviously. I just bought a company on our credit cards. And we phoned the girl there, and she's like, you need a truck. Yeah. And we're like, what do you mean we need a truck? And I'm like, now that it's dawning on us, like, what have we bought? And we got to clear the place. Yeah. So we ended up, I think it was a 7.5 tonner walking around, and I mean, we had bought the entire company. We're talking about a big warehouse with chroma kits and lighting and sound. And
was that a good idea with thinking about it now? Like, would you do it again?
Not now. Definitely not now. But I think, the value we got out of that kit was incredible. £10,000 of odd purchase, 20 odd years ago. Probably, it must have been £250,000 worth of, and it probably on the books, if they'd have bought that new, obviously technology is changing, you're probably talking maybe £1 million, £1 million worth of equipment there. And we basically, I was working for a company called Maverick, and ironically I was working at a trade company, so one of the first things I did was we got garages, lockups. Yeah. We put as much equipment in there as we could, and we basically tried to hire as much equipment out as we could possibly as well. I was lucky. I was working for PSCo in Birmingham, just off Birmingham Airport, and my role really at the time was to be able to work. It was like a freelance role. I'd go in as almost like a project manager and go like, if a big event company or a big exhibition company needed someone to go in to do sound or lighting or big screens, I was the guy that worked with a rental fleet. And if we didn't have the equipment, I would source that equipment for them, bring it with me and do it. So, you know, taking screens and stuff. So all I did, I had my own back catalogue of stuff, and I'd just say to the customer, you know, like, look, you've got 20 screens going in. We're talking the days of plasmas when they were hardly, you could pick them up and, you know, they were 10, 20,000 pounds worth of kit. So, you know, I'd be like, would you need mics? Do you need lighting? Do you need anything else? And of course,
you were full of stuff.
Yeah, I was like, I know this great company, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, any idea the rates? I'm kind of making them up on my calculator, like at the time, and that's how the company started, and it got big quickly, way too quickly, to be honest. And
how long did you take to brought it as $1 million company?
Goodness me. We cracked, I think, the turnover when we really discovered Google Ads.
Google Ads.
And Google Ads was really beta at the time, probably been going a couple of years. And we just grew too fast. I mean, I got a phone call one day from my warehouse. They had another AV sales company, and I knew the CEO. Shared an office with a guy called Rob, who was CEO of Splash AV. And he's like, Steve, the top guys are coming down tomorrow. Yeah, no worries. I'll make sure, you know, my area is clear and there's no like drum and bass or dance music going off in the warehouse, which, to be honest, I had a warehouse to myself, maybe a couple of guys, and we just put music on and enjoy it, right? And it's like, now they're coming down to see you. These guys didn't even know my name, you know, like all multi-millionaire investors. In fairness, I think I'd gone on an event with John, our chairman, when England won the Rugby World Cup. So that was the only time. And I was like, obviously I'm in trouble, right? Because the big bosses don't come down for no reason. And they were like, look, Steve, we're aware that, or it's been brought to our attention that you have a company, and the company is getting a name for itself. And I was like...
they heard about you. They heard of you.
One of my competitors had gone to the bosses and gone, did you know that one of your employees is one of the big disruptors in the market? And I was like, to be honest, I saw it as a compliment at the time, you know, and I kind of laughed, and I think they laughed, but then I realised it was, you know, I was probably going to get fired for this, and basically, you know, straight up, I just said, yeah, but I was like, guys, you know, I've hit my targets. How do you think we're doing so much money, you know? I can't just do this on selling the equipment and the itinerary you've got there. I'm making you money. I was adding up to 40% on to the company I was working for. So they weren't buying anything, they were renting it. But obviously, you know, we'd got to a point, and that was the push I needed to be able to take this really seriously. And that was hard. I can't remember how old my son was, but, you know, he's in diapers. And you're taking a decision in the belief that now you can return an investment, but it's very easy to return an investment for somebody else when it's your money. I guess to give the viewers an idea is, imagine playing Monopoly with your real cash. You know, and that's. Are
you gonna buy that house, or are you gonna build that that hotel on that place?
Yeah, and all in.
How many people are gonna go there? Like,
it is scary. And I remember again speaking to my mum at the time, and she was like, Steve, you're crazy. I thought at the time I had nothing to lose. I mean, essentially, what they asked me to do was they weren't going to fire me. I think I signed an NDA. No, that's right. So basically, they said to me, here's some paper, we need to sign it. And basically, they were locking me out of the market. You cannot work in this market, and you have to sign this legal form. And I went to a couple of the senior guys that won't mention names for some advice, just in case they're still working. I haven't seen them in years, but they were like, look, Steve, if you believe in this business, you know, you must be doing well to get the attention of people that high up. You know, if you believe in it, do it. And that's what we did. And yeah, we grew rapidly. We won big London contracts that we should never have won. All through Google AdWords. So contextual AdWords were going at the time. And I guess this is the foundation of where my marketing came through, is that, you know, Yellow Pages was a thing then. Like, you had this massive book, and people would search for your company in this massive book. And basically, the more money that you spent on the bigger advert, the more traffic you drove as telephone calls.
Crazy. Right now, like, wouldn't make any sense, I think.
Can you imagine giving like a young millennial kid a book and saying, go and find your suppliers or run your business from there?
And now marketing has drastically changed.
Absolutely.
Marketing has changed also society, like how people behave, how people act, how people live, actually. Like there are people that live only because what they want to show on social. There are fake people that didn't exist once. Like people like maybe to show off, but showing off is on a next level right now. There's people that make a living out of showing off.
When we first, interesting you bring that up, because when we first started, when I first moved over here, I used to try and explain about social media and digital and the opportunity for brands. And Dubai's all about the biggest, the best, right? Obviously. World records, massive billboards, very egotistical. In a good way. No, well, probably less than what social media is now. And I used to say, look, guys, think about this as two personalities. You've got your real self, which is you as a human, which when you talk to people would be very different to the perceived person you want people to see of you. And, you want to be perceived as successful, or psychologically you want to be liked. All of us, there's nobody in the world, and I'll call anyone out on it, that doesn't wants to be disliked. You only get disliked if you're trying to achieve an Andrew Tate role on YouTube these days.
And you care about what people think about.
Absolutely.
You. It's like, you can say I don't care about what people think, but it's not real. It's a sentiment you have inside. Or why would you even dress in the morning? Like if you don't give any.
Well, that's the change, isn't it? The social change that social has brought about, because that dual personality. I was like, what you've got to remember, and we were working a lot in FMCG at the time. Painkillers, everyday waters. Pretty much any fast-moving consumer good we were working with, and big brands, GSK, P&G, Reckitt's, and so forth. And I was trying to explain to the customers, like, when you sell to a person, or when you want to be able to capture that person's attention, you talk to them as the real person. But when you're online, you want to be able to align your product with the persona of that person, right? And if you're, like we look after Fiji Water, we never sell a bottle of Fiji Water. We sell the vision, that like a house, you sell success, you sell the lifestyle, you sell everything around it, because that's what they want to feel good. They want to feel special, and.
So branding is very important, and a brand brings out many features that
you associate to brands. I think like nostalgia, brand value, inspiration.
Actually, it's nice that you brought up the double personality, I would call it like a double life that the newer generations have. So, for example, older generation, like my father maybe, or my grandfather, would live in the physical world,
exactly.
Which is the one we live right now, we are right now. But newer generation, like maybe myself or younger, live in two worlds. There is the online world. The online world also, like if you think about video games or that sort of stuff, a 10-year-old kid can be whoever he wants on a video game.
Absolutely.
He can relate, he can talk, he has friends from across the world that he never met before. And that, I think, is really crazy. From an older person perspective, because I see Instagram, I chat on Instagram with my friends as I chat with you sitting right here. My father would chat on Instagram with someone using it as a tool. They don't see, older generation don't see WhatsApp or don't see social as the world, but see them as tools. Tools to get more people, to marketing.
A window.
Yeah,
and I think the aspirational self is what you're portraying into that window. If you're on your content and you maybe live in a studio, or maybe you're brought up working class, but you have a nice watch, your portrayal would be if you maybe stood next to a Ferrari in Dubai with a nice watch and a bottle of Fiji, for example. Nobody knows what's actually happening in real life.
Obviously.
And I think that's the difference. I think we were probably, our generation a little bit more creative, because you still did, a lot of the stuff happens in your head, you dream it, and we all had aspirations as a kid growing up, whether it be watching football on TV and you kind of mimic what they do, or it could be a music star or, you know, whatever interests you have. And I think we basically just visualized that. And I think that helped us in a way, because I think if you visualize something and you have belief in something, and
you'll achieve it.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. And
For sure.
I think the hard part is the sustainable, you know, for the youngsters coming through, there's a lot of pressure on, you know, young kids, both male and female now.
And also, everything seems so easy, so from outside. Like, everybody, it seems easy that you can become rich. You just go to Dubai. People think that if you live in Dubai, you're rich, you're a millionaire.
Yeah,
it's not true.
No.
It's to live in Dubai, you have to work like a lot.
Graft.
I always say Dubai is a jungle. You wake up in the morning and you have to run faster than everybody else.
Yeah,
and that
it's full of lions.
That could be so as a negative point. But if you see it from a positive perspective, I think that Dubai gets the best version of yourself out.
Yeah.
Every day you're pushed to be the best version of yourself. Training, working, having enough sleep, hustling.
Yeah.
Because you can get a nice place, a nice apartment, but when you're time, you want a better one. You want a nicer one.
Yeah.
There is that building across the road that is much, much better, but it costs double.
Yeah.
And you have to make it. So I think that Dubai is really, really, really pushing the social people, and let's cut it up.
I think that the city and the country is pushing everything. You know, the infrastructure. They're pushing new technologies, and what happens is that pushes us and collects people like us as entrepreneurs and investors to be able to push as well. And the more like-minded people you get, the more opportunity and the more growth. Yeah. So I'm here for more of it, and you know, the opportunities. If anything, there's too many opportunities. I wouldn't say it's easier for this generation. The saturation and it's probably a lot harder actually when I think about it, because I'd probably argue that, or they would argue that, you know, Steve, you had AdWords to yourself kind of thing, you know, because all the traditional people didn't really care what it is. And, you know, unless you're hitting up on a TikTok or a Snapchat that's coming through, or a Facebook before MySpace, you know, you need that little bit of luck to be able to get the traction. If not, you're just another influencer, another KOL who's competing against. And how quick are you irrelevant? You know, like
a lot of influencers have become influencers because they wanted. Like, they started their career saying, "I dream to become an influencer," and they.
My nephew said that to me the other day.
Yeah. But the more successful ones, I think, became influencers for a matter of fact. Like, those are key opinion leaders, are people that became famous because of something they did in the physical world, not only in the virtual world, showing everybody can flex, you know, but who really owns it? That's the point.
Yeah, I think, like, you look at people, I mean, the Kardashians and Paris and people like that. I guess the medium, you know, if you got on TV, you'd made it, right? Or you got on the radio, you'd made it. And I think that's very different now because of YouTube and social. But yeah, you're right. You've got to be able to sustain it. And I think, you know, going back to relatability and sustainability as online personas or people, it's very hard because, you know, there's a 12 or 13-year-old kid there opening presents that's getting millions of views. So how do you keep that consistency of keeping your likes up, keeping your subscriptions up, and keeping your brand up as you age as well? And you're aging on camera. You know, I'm very lucky.
But if we have to say the truth, is that all of this system made you who you are, and you made a business out of it. So it's
for sure.
So I would like to focus now on the second part. So after London, after your experience in the warehouse and that company, what made you move to Dubai and all of that?
So 2008 had happened, the big market crash. Dubai had been hit very hard, and essentially my company at the time, we had a situation with RBS who had basically folded. I remember asking a question at economics at doing my A-levels to the teacher and saying, what happens if a bank crashes? I think I got kicked out for it. Like, so if my economics teacher's watching now, you kick me out for this, and then wow, like, my business at the time was growing rapidly.
Yeah.
We were profitable. We were 15, 16 staff, multiple vans delivering equipment as well. And we get this phone call, and I'd had the bank manager. You know, you're starting to be successful when the bank cares.
Yeah,
Or at least
they search you. They search you to
Yeah.
invest.
So up comes this guy in a smart suit, you know, traditional finance guy, and he's like, Steve, you know, and to my partner as well at the time, in order to grow your business, you need to invoice, discount, or factor. I'm like, what the hell is that? You know, what is this word? So they're like, right, so it's as simple as this. VAT 17.5%. Okay, so 20%. Every invoice you put onto our system, we're going to give you 80% of the cash straight away. So I'm sitting there looking at my friend and going, hang on a minute. So basically I put an invoice for £10,000 on here. I can draw down 80% of that immediately. Yeah, that's how it works. So I'm doing the maths in my head, right? I know exactly, you're a mathematician, Guido. So, you know, I'm doing those numbers and I'm thinking, so if I'm probably spending at the moment £2,000-3,000 a month on Google. I could get a credit card for 20 grand and put 20 grand a week, month, and how much I'm really going to grow my business. So that was a no-brainer, right? Young kid, taking advice of a bank manager, like what could possibly go wrong? And I remember speaking to a lawyer, I can't remember, a lawyer or my accountant back in Coventry, and they said, look, just be aware that you're essentially giving away your debt book. I was like, yeah, but they chase the debt in, I don't need an account, and the debt's insured. So, and I remember the bank manager coming back, and I was like, so if I do an invoice to a company and the company goes bust, okay, I've downloaded 80% of the revenue of that invoice. I've got 20% left to pay the VAT. And he's like, well, if they go bust, you're credit insured anyway. So this just sounded like the golden ticket. Yeah. And then, you know, a few years later, I get a phone call. The girl who ran the desk, the hire desk for us, get a phone call off the bank saying, RBS need the money back. And I was like, what money? Like the money's ours. We've done the work for a lot of this money. And essentially what had happened was they hadn't collected any of the debt in. So, and we didn't care because we thought we were insured for it, right? So whatever, you know, like maybe they make.
It's not your business anyway. Like
you just bring in.
You're running a business.
And you are running, right? You know, you're always after the next job. You're pitching all of the time. You're trying to win the next big account. And no, Steve, you need to take the call. Like they're calling in £500,000, and they need it by the end of the week. This can't be real, you know. And it took down a lot of businesses. It was brutal because how do you turn around to a team that's performing incredibly hard, working their ass off for the company and for you?
So in that moment, how did you feel?
It didn't feel real. I think when you're in business, money doesn't feel real anyway because you never actually see or feel the money, right? Maybe the first job you get, you know, I think back to some of the big jobs. The first one where you win that £20,000-30,000 job, which is decent money. You know, your first big check comes in, check sounding old again, right? And you feel that buzz, but then actually, you know, you just like, right, I need more because my overheads are higher, and you're running on a treadmill all the time.
Sometimes getting bigger is not the right thing to do.
Yeah, but when that moment
expenses
happens,
go,
I didn't tell anybody. I think that was the hardest part because I felt quite stupid. You know, I felt like I'd been sold out and I'd been scammed. I'd been scammed by a global bank in my head. And, you know, I think, to cut a long story short, I think it was the best lesson I could have in life, and a brutal business lesson. I mean, I lost, a house, cars, about £500,000 worth of assets.
Crazy. Just in a week.
In my early 20s. Yeah, and like literally, I was told. Another funny story is I was told by my accountant. I was a big football fan, so one of the first things I did with the money that had gone probably to the tax fund anyway, because you could deduct your expenses, was to buy a box at my local football club, Coventry, and you know, this young 20-year-old kid with this box, been inviting my friends, getting drunk, partying as you do, and taking my son there as well behind like the glass door, and you have all service and food and. And I remember my accountant saying, Steve, like, live in the real world. And in my head, I was like, do you know what, though? I'm a young kid from Coventry. I've had to graft. I didn't go to private schools. I didn't have a silver spoon. I was brought up in a single parent family, lived at my grandparents' house growing up, and everything was, we got everything we ever wanted, and probably more. But you grafted for that, right? And to get that lifestyle, and my perspective was, how is a young kid in Coventry ever going to be able to get better? How do I succeed? There wasn't a YouTube to go on, look at someone's success story. Yes, there was books out there.
You were in panic mode. You weren't happy. You was dreaming, then you planned it.
I think dreaming was, I don't think I was in panic mode at this point. I was in the mode of, this is easy. Business is easy. I've made a lot of money so quickly, and I can't fail. And I think I'd gone out and got this box, and these boxes, then you were with all these successful local businesses, right?
Yeah.
So then I was talking to all these local businesses, building up contacts, and when everything crashed, these are the people that I relied on to be able to go, look, guys, how are you dealing with this situation? Because it didn't happen instantly. It's not like I did pay that money back within an hour, 2 hours, or a week. I mean, I think I told them where to go several times and probably carried it on for a year, trying to get more onto the system. But, it was, I think the government bailed the bank out in the end, but they didn't bail us out, and no other companies. And those people that, going back to the box, it's probably one of the best investments I've ever made, because I had real advice. I had real people that I could go to on a human level who were feeling the same pain. Or maybe had rode it. And the irony is that I had to downsize the next season, and which was hard, hard for the ego. To go from having this beautiful box with all your friends and family and clients, and I said to the guy next door, look, this is what's going on. And he basically said, well, look, I'd be interested in acquiring the company. Obviously, they'd learnt about it, and having these kind of conversations, talking about it, and basically they put it into a prepackaged administration situation, and that's how I joined the board of the partnership agency. And to go back to the question you asked, is I started in Dubai as CEO of the partnership. I came over here to fix all of the problems from their 2008 crisis. The company was hemorrhaging, forget the numbers, but it was a couple of million dirhams a month in cash. They had clients, they didn't even know their clients. Like this, before it was like the golden era of Dubai prior to 2008. You had clients on PR retainers of tens of thousands of pounds, and guys didn't even know who they are.
We can say that bad experience, that terrible experience, was necessary for you to become who you are right now.
Yeah, it was a life lesson.
It was a life lesson.
A real life lesson. In a Monopoly board or Snakes and Ladders, it's like, you're near the finishing line. On your head, you feel invincible. And that's where the panic mode, I think, really
when you
came.
Relax, when you think it's all okay, that's when the problems usually...
I think you can never relax in business.
Maybe it seems too nice to be real, the bank offer, when it seems too nice to be real, like the deal they offered you.
It's too good to be true, isn't it? There's no get-rich-quick scheme in life.
And then you learn that when something is too good to be true, it's not true. Like that's the lesson, I think, about this. Absolutely.
I mean, what's great about these experiences, these experiences can happen at 40, at 50, right? And I think I was lucky enough to have these experiences when I was in my early 20s. I moved to Dubai, it was around 29, 30, coming in and out, flying in and out, and then obviously getting the visa. So, those experiences when COVID came and things like that, it was almost like reliving that nightmare again. But hang on a minute, I'm well prepared. I'm well prepared for this kind of extreme pressure. You already
had this extreme event.
Yeah, and the numbers are bigger now. The numbers, the company numbers, the staff, the clients, and we're probably floating a year what we were doing. We're doing a month here. So, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on Google AdWords for clients. What if those clients go bust? If I'm floating $1 million of AdWord accounts or Meta advertising accounts with tiny margins, how would I sustain that business? And COVID really changed the landscape again. It was like a black swan event, reoccurring like 2008 crash. and that's where we made some proper money, I think.
Yeah.
And that's where I diversified those investments, invested heavily into real estate. And we actually sold some of the shares into the agency, brought a partner in, and 50% of the agency we sold out to clear some cash. Cash is king in those situations. You learn that straight away. You know, I mean, I was working for a pharmaceutical at the time, and I remember speaking to a big German pharmaceutical, and I was like, "How serious is this? You know, where are we going on this?" And they're like, "This is serious." So what we did straight away, we went through our own digital transformation instantly. We created all of our cloud project management software. We moved on to systems like Zoom already, Slack and Teams and things like that. So we basically geared up and we were like, right, we are going to have to work from home at some point. And Dubai was one of the first UAE country to be able to lock down. Yeah. And we were back to work quicker than most other countries. They dealt with it fantastically well. Oh. And, you know, the cash then, you quickly think, oh my God, it's happening again, right? And you do have those dark thoughts. There's no doubt about it.
It's a gut feeling, like, say, what's going on now?
Yeah, gut feelings. A great example is that, you know, the experience in your head tells you, right, buckle down, this is going to be a tough ride. But actually, your gut's telling you this is an opportunity. You know, this is the time to invest with prior knowledge. In a crisis,
knowledge. There is always someone that makes money. Like,
is it Warren Buffett? Is blood on the streets? Invest mentality. Yeah. And my gut was screaming to me to say, Steve, double down, invest. You know this. You know the town. You know Dubai. You know the personas. You see the data. Yeah. Right? And then it was having that belief in myself and being able to say to my wife and family, right, we're gonna get some liquidity out of the company, remove it from the balance sheet, invest and double down into assets.
And real estate assets.
Yeah, and you've seen the growth, you know. Yeah. We've been extremely lucky to be able to now come out of that, and, you know, real estate's been insane here. Yeah. You know, you're doubling, maybe even tripling your investments. Yeah. Probably one of the only markets in the world that has had that kind of growth. But we knew the value. We knew the people. You know, if we came through COVID and we came out of COVID quickly, and the government did a fantastic job, we knew that this would be a safe haven for people to be able to grow their business. And then Brexit and European problems, more people come over from Europe. They see the opportunity now. Yeah. The opportunity in Saudi is phenomenal, right? Young generation, big country, big economy, huge investment in sport and music. That's never been there before. Yeah. You know, no cinemas in Saudi up until a few years ago. Females not driving and things like that. The social development and the sport development is a huge opportunity for brands.
Yeah. Absolutely. So obviously you were talking about investments. So you say the biggest investments you made were in your own companies, your own staff, being able to be ahead of the market and be more professional, obviously, of your competitors. But besides those kind of investments, what investments did you do, like more on a personal level, like real estate, stocks? What were your choices once you were successful and you had money you could invest?
Yeah, I mean, once, obviously, cash being king, you know, once you had that cash to be able to invest, it was a bit of a scary thought, really, to be able to think, where do I go? You know, Bitcoin had surged, obviously. I had one of my American friends like, Steve, bang it all in Bitcoin, you know, and I think for about probably 2 months I was thinking I wish I'd have listened to him. You know, realistically, I think getting the mix of your portfolio is incredibly important, and you know, I'm in my early 40s now, and I can't afford to take the kind of risks that I definitely did in my, you know, mid-20s and 30s, and you know, I'm a firm believer that if you use a product, if you use a service, and you like that brand, you know, that's the type of company you should invest in. And I think, like, you know, we talked about Apple before, and you know, rather than me buying the first iPhone, probably I should have put $1,000 into the stock of Apple, right? Yeah. And that's definitely, you know, I don't believe in regrets, but definitely, you know, as an educated or more educated person now through life, you don't get taught these things at school, do you? No. And I think, like, I look back, you know, stocks and shares, and I look at opportunities. Nvidia, Twilio was one that surged, and we were using Twilio, and they were obviously acquiring companies like SendGrid, and we're using them for marketing every day. And I think that's the kind of investments that I do, is if I'm using that technology, if I'm using that tool, having thought about the Apple thing, not buying that iPhone or iPod at the time. I love my iPod though.
Yeah.
Not buying that at the time, investing in stocks and shares. What would it be worth now?
Yeah.
It's got to be probably potentially £1 million. I don't know. But
so if you would divide like real estate, stocks, crypto. Obviously, we are crypto guys. We are in the crypto space, and we love crypto. We invest in crypto actively, and how much does the crypto part weigh in a percentage on your portfolio?
Tiny. Take the businesses out. We're probably talking around 15-20%. And it's boring, I think my biggest holding is Bitcoin. Totally boring, right? And it's never going to make the multiples of the meme coins. I wouldn't say I'm anti-meme coin. It's a bit of fun.
It's a work. Trading meme coins, searching meme coins that are going to do a 10x, 100x, 1000x is a job.
You need a lot of time.
It's a full-time job.
Absolutely. And I think it's luck at the end of the day. We've all, I invested in...
Meme coins are...
for sure, but there's big exchanges and big coins, I'm not going to name them, but I can think of a major coin that crashed and I lost a decent amount of money on that. I think the whole world, KOLs and influencers are probably losing.
I think to reconnect to what you're talking about.
Sickening at the time.
That was a hard hit, obviously, for us.
And that changed the way I bought into crypto, because
it's a lesson again. It's another lesson. New market, new lesson. That's
being educated is the key, I think. And when I started experiencing crypto, probably around 2018.
Same as me.
And you'd obviously had those early adopters, and one of my friends was being paid as an affiliate marketer in Bitcoin, and he already changed it all into sterling, because he needed the money to survive, right? If he kept that, he'd be filthy rich now. But I got into it. My son was into sports and trade cards, and he was very much into NFTs and so rare and things like that. So to have something in common with my son, I invested in that.
As you said, you need to be educated on this space.
Critically, I wouldn't advise anybody, to be honest, to even consider the space if you haven't done some kind of educational course, because I'm from the school of hard knocks, I guess. And, playing real money, real monopoly money, and it's not for everybody. The life I lead is high risk, high reward, highly stressful. And I think if you're going to look at this, it's an emerging market. It's a new market. It's the Wild West still. Let's be honest.
For this reason, you have to be educated.
Exactly.
It's a must.
You're gambling otherwise. You might as well just go down the casino and throw it on roulette.
And again, for people that aren't experienced or aren't educated enough on the crypto, the blockchain, and how this works and what it will lead to, technology, smart contracts, all this stuff, you're gambling. What will happen is these things, I saw them happen on and on again with a lot of friends and people I knew. You invest $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and then you lose it all, and then you associate all the crypto space and blockchain space to a scam.
A lot of people can't afford to lose that, Davin. I think that's the most important thing.
But that's a problem, because after you get scammed like this, and it's not that you get, you simply weren't educated to do it. You will just take all the crypto space and all the blockchain space and associate it to a scam. Whilst if you really understood the real power of blockchain technology and how it's going to drastically change the ecosystem, the businesses, and our lives, because smart contracts can be applied everywhere, and they will be.
Everything will be tokenized.
Just
the stock market, housing, everything you
Tokenization
buy.
of
You
the
know.
stock market, but also digital identity, the self-sovereign identity, how you manage your own data, how you connect your own data to providers. It could be health, it could be banks, it could be
Sports.
Yeah.
So connecting to the SportsLive, your new initiative is a real use case about blockchain, because people say, yeah, okay, cool blockchain, but what can I do with it? There are a ton of use cases, and SportsLive is a great use case of it.
It's using the technology for good, isn't it? You know, I think like the NFTs, and you know, you could buy an ape for thousands of dollars, and you know, there's these arguments as well about, you know, what are you buying? I can copy that and clone it, and look, it's just a use case for new technology, isn't it? It's the start of a revolution, or what I class as a digital. No, it's an industrial revolution. If you think about it, it's no different to the Victorian time, for example, in Europe when factories came out.
It's like internet.
Yeah, TV.
Internet entered the market and revolutionized.
And how many .coms went bust?
Yeah.
How many
people lost money on the stock market through investing into .coms? And that's no different to what's happening in the crypto market.
And then people are scared, maybe also with. I remember when the emails came out, we started using emails. What are the post office gonna do?
Yeah,
they still exist.
Yeah, exactly.
They still work. Yeah. So it's just tools that get mainstream.
If you don't adapt, you die.
Yeah.
And I think like you'll have the dinosaurs of our generation who will just say, absolutely not, I'm never going to touch it. And they'll either adapt and they'll use it, or they'll have to conform, you know, in terms of doing this because of compliance and regulation, I guess.
I was once listening to a lecture of a big entrepreneur in Italy talking about blockchain. And he was explaining that it's important for every big company, every business to at least invest a small amount of money in understanding what blockchain is. Yeah. Because this is going to be a big revolution. As internet was a revolution. Yeah. Imagine a company in the 90s or end of the 90s that didn't invest in understanding what internet is. I'm not saying that in the 2000s you had to have an e-commerce, but at least understand what internet is. Spend some money to understand, because the reality is that when the revolution comes, you have to be ready to say, okay, let's do it. Absolutely. Because just imagine if a company would stick to, this is bullshit. The internet is a bullshit in the 2000s. Would it be open now? You can't have a company without a website, without an email, without internet. And I truly think that blockchain is gonna come that heavy in the next years. It's not tomorrow, but now is the moment to start learning, start educating yourself about blockchain and crypto. Also, the market right now in this moment is really interesting. Prices are low. It's a sale. It's a discount
to buy.
So I always say, guys, I can't tell to people, buy this coin, it's better than the other coins, right? If you ask me, which coin should I buy? My answer is DR. Do your own research. You want to do your own research? Buy a course, get educated, and do your own research. That's what I did. That's what Guido did. That's 100%. Everybody, successful people in this space, educated themselves, and not buying courses of guru flexing Lamborghinis or Ferraris, because those are not. How can that guy teach to you?
It's a scam. So there's no such thing as quick, instant wealth. Like, you know, from all the people that you're interviewing on these podcasts, like, it's a slog. You have to, you know, invest in your own ability, take huge gambles, and it's never an upward trajectory. It's always a roller coaster, you know? You're up, down, and the people that succeed are the people who fail and get back up and go again, you know, like that boxer gets knocked down, obviously. You know, and I think the education, you know, you've got that small percentage of the population, you know, your similar story to me, David, you know, talking in the green room, and, you know, we learnt it in our own experience, but I mean, Guido, you're MIT, right? You know, you taught courses and educated people in this world, and I think we've got to be able to
Education is key. Education is key, both
Critical.
for people that work in companies, managers, executives, but also for the person who wants to just invest or.
Why not?
But yeah.
People say, no, crypto is not for me, just because you
Just
don't know
don't know
anything
it.
about it. If you knew something about it, then you can choose crypto is for me, or no, I don't want to do anything.
but I
But
think
you
if-
need to understand what that
What
is.
that is.
If you educate yourself, and I said this to a few of my friends recently, and I was like, if you want an opinion on something, educate yourself on
Yeah.
it. Even if you're never going to get, you're never going to invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum or crypto or blockchain or what have you, at least have an accurate opinion and read a book, take a course.
Obviously, it's
Go
it's
to
a
the
hot
conferences, and understand it, because you might be wrong. And let's be honest, 9 times out of 10 in life, we do make mistakes, and you learn from those
Absolutely.
mistakes. And I think give yourself that opportunity to make an informed decision. And that's what, education is all about.
I have to take out Riv Academy in this part of the podcast, because with Riv Academy we are creating a disruptive way of teaching crypto to people. Because what you can find on the market, it's two different products. You can have university courses, which are great, are fantastic, but they last maybe 3 months, a year, 2 years. They are really expensive, and they are not for common people.
Yeah.
Like, my mother can't take an MIT course. I wouldn't take maybe a super university course, right?
Yeah.
It's for people that are already skilled and want to make a living out of the technology, etc. Then you can find these guru courses that make rich only the guru itself.
Yeah.
They won't make you rich.
That's a FOMO situation.
That's a FOMO
right?
situation. So what Riv Academy did, it's place itself in the middle, offering courses for normal people, not high-tech people, using normal words, normal way to explain a really tough concept to understand.
Jargon-free.
And we didn't stop to that. We onboarded highly skilled professionals, highly skilled professor. We have Guido here that works with us in Riv Academy, and he's an MIT teacher.
Yeah.
We have from Italy Massimiliano Marzo, which is a
Yale PhD. Actually.
Yale PhD, and he teaches to an university. So
you don't get those opportunities down the pub, do you?
Yeah,
That's the point. That's the point. And the really disruptive thing, I think, is the way that we deliver this content, because everybody hates a 4-hour PowerPoint with some old guy talking for 4 hours. That's boring.
We've all been there.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay for that. You don't want it.
Yeah.
Not even if it's free, you're gonna use it.
Yeah.
You can find online courses that last 2 hours. Who's gonna watch a 2-hour video? You need to be really in a panic situation to watch a 2-hour video.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
not nice. It's boring. So what we did, we created short pills, really engaging pills with a lot of assets, videos that you can learn just listening to them, just watching them as a TV series.
And that's what the generation want, right? We're in a TikTok generation now where they're taking short form video and imagery.
Spam.
People cannot concentrate.
Absolutely, I mean, it's all instant gratification.
So the way you teach needs to change. This new generation cannot.
We're adapting. Like we're old, aren't we? Like realistically, it's a new generation coming through, and we're adapting, and we're trying to create, I guess, assets and businesses that will help our future generations, our great grandkids, and redistribute that wealth. And you go back to your mum and downloading a wallet. When I first downloaded my wallet, I was really lucky that I had a friend
teaching you how to use it.
Yeah, literally sat with me, and I remember I was just about to send funds, and I'd clicked. I was moving Ethereum, and I was about to send it down the BNB. I can't remember.
The wrong chain.
And he was like, "Steve, if you'd have clicked that button then, you'd have sent it down the wrong chain. You'd have lost all your money." And I'm like, "What?" So actually, I still do it today, right? You'll laugh. I still send tiny amounts.
It's good that you brought out this because education is king in mastering this.
Yeah,
but because
crypto people are laughing at us right now.
Blockchain. Something I always say is that blockchain is fantastic because thanks to blockchain, you can be the bank, your own bank. It's your keys,
control
your
of your assets.
That's the point.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that with ownership, just eliminating a third party, as a bank could be, comes also responsibility.
You've got to be educated.
You can't put like on a transfer on an app or a bank app. It would tell you this address is wrong.
Well, it's like writing, isn't it? Like I mean, at the end of the day, you sign a contract for work. You sign a contract to buy your house, buy your car. That's done in a form contract of pen and paper, right?
Yeah.
And if you had been one of those people that would have turned around and said, "I am never going to go on a mobile phone or be digital," this is what's going to happen. When you buy your house in probably a couple of years' time, not even 5, 10, 20 years down the road, you're probably going to be doing it through a smart contract. And what if your actual deeds to your house are in a digital wallet?
Exactly.
Worst of all, what if that digital wallet is owned by a central exchange or a bank? Like my debt book was owned by RBS, right? I'd given my asset away, and I had no control.
Control of it.
I'd lost control of my own destiny.
Not your keys.
Exactly.
That's the point.
100%. And I think that's a non-custodial wallet. The ability to have your own secure vault. All right, don't get me wrong. The 16 key password is a massive pain in the ass, right? And writing that down, locking it in a vault somewhere in security, there is that element still of that's not quite, the zero knowledge
not
proof
yet.
Isn't there?
Not yet.
Well, it is there. There's just not enough developers, and we're still learning.
It will come with smart contracts and DAOs. Will come the solution.
But imagine that black swan. Like you've just done well. Like the generation now we're talking to, you've just done really well. You've made a load of money, and you need to get that cash out, and it's in your digital wallet. It's in your non-custodial wallet, or worse, it's in an exchange wallet that doesn't have the liquidity to be able to access the deeds to your house. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
And I think this is why, even if you're not interested in meme coins or following, Elon on X these days, or
it's something you need to be aware of.
Yeah, you just educate yourself. Give yourself a chance for the future. To secure your own future. And if you don't like it, well, what's the cost?
At least you don't like it.
What's the cost of a Riv Academy course?
$40 right now. $48. It's also a promo running right now, so it's a perfect moment.
I mean, there you go. But imagine.
But what if
you sent that down the wrong network?
Exactly.
Like this is the crazy situation of it. I mean, worst of all, if you've made a house is appreciated by 25% in the next couple of years, and you want to sell it, and smart contracts have come into play.
By the way, did you have a chance to try our Riv wallet?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of
I know that you have, because obviously we gave you a beta version to look at. Actually, it's gonna be live in a couple of days. Riv wallet with the final version. What are your thoughts about it? Because
it's beautifully designed.
Yeah. Do you think my mother could use it?
No, I mean, irrespective of how good the wallet is and how good the UI and the UX is, like, still my advice is always educate yourself. I think part of the academy that you guys have put together enables you to learn about what a wallet is, what a wallet does, and the importance of that wallet and how it secures your own assets. In SportsLive's perspective, we're securing your data, your health data, your records. Young kids out there, I'm sure their dad tells you that your dad tells you, or your mum tells you, that they were this amazing sports person who scored loads of goals at football or baseball or hockey or have you. This gives you the opportunity to be able to go back, rewind, and see on a ledger secure to you or your dad or your family your analytics. You own that. You give that away.
You own your analytics.
You're the product, David. Like
exactly.
At the moment, you're putting your entire life online on social, Instagram, TikTok. These places, and it's free, right? And you're the product. We've all seen these movies, about the dangers of it. And I think Australia this week banned social media for kids under 18. Yeah. I think that's, please check that. But I'm pretty sure that's one of the conversations going on, and they're talking about the same things in the UK, kids having access to this kind of stuff. And I think education is so important.
Absolutely.
You can never not educate yourself enough. Reading books,
for
learn from people.
For example, I think that when I started my career, let's call it like this, in the my own business, and trying to deal with, as we said at the start of this episode, you have to do all the jobs. You have to understand. So I think a lot of books help me a lot. Some good movies. What's your top 3 books that you would advise for younger guys that are trying to find their way?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of guys that are skilled, but they don't really know what they're gonna do, what they want to do, or how to do it.
Yeah.
So I think books are really important.
I think books are, I mean, when I was young, I never invested enough time. In fact, I was blasé about it. Why would I do that? I'd watch TV or a movie or something, right? So I don't think I can give you exactly the top 3 books that I'd advise, but I mean, I can tell you the type of books that I read and inspirational stories that are right for me. I mean, one of the stories that I was fascinated with was Nike, and I recently read the Shoe Dog, you know, it's not an autobiography, but it's the story, and I think it's now a series on probably a well-known you know, Netflix or Prime TV station, and you know, it talks about the branding. It's the heritage of the Nike logo. Now the whoosh is, you know, it's probably one of the most recognized logos brands in the world, right?
Absolutely.
And he was selling stuff out of his car boot. You know, no different to how I started, you know, and he failed, and, you know, and I think that's a story of inspiration. It's a story of gambling, you know, believing in himself, passion, and everything around.
There are a lot of, like, another movie, for example, that is really impressive is The Founder behind McDonald's. Like,
it's a real estate company, right?
It's a real estate company. And also there you can see the constant failures behind it. So I think that what we are understanding also with these podcasts, what we are bringing, the message is that you never have to let go. Like, if you have a vision, if you have a dream, just plan it and do it.
You're always learning as well, aren't you? You spend your life.
Failure is part of the trip.
Yeah, I mean,
it can't be just a nice ride. But be prepared, and when you fail, that's the moment that you have to be ready to get up and fight again.
Yeah, the best advice is surround yourself with people that not so much are better than you, but you aspire to, or you respect, I guess. That you really, you know, there's so much experience, and I know a lot of people probably look, and I probably did when I was younger, you know, I dismissed the older generation.
Absolutely.
And I think the advice I'd probably give to the youngsters out there is go and talk to these people. Go and ask them, how were you successful? How did you make your money? Educate yourself on a real life.
That's super.
Read books, you know, they're all there, and I know it sounds like boring and traditional, but it's a great break from your mobile phone.
What changed also my situation was starting to talk to these people. I started hanging out with people that were 20 years older than me, successful entrepreneurs. Just, they're not gonna eat you. Ask them.
I think to wrap off, I mean, you started the conversation with investment, and I think you know, investing in yourself is the most important advice
Absolutely.
that I can give. You know, whether you're investing in yourself for your personal training, your health. You know, I recently spent an absolute fortune on signing up for Ultimate Performance. I had a great PT. I'd never done weights before, and always done cardio, team sports and stuff. Getting that motivation to get up and go to the gym at 6 a.m. is tough, right? And especially trying to run a business, have a family, be married, and you know, and so forth. And I think, like, I didn't just go, right, I'm going to join the best gym I can or the most expensive gym. You know, I did my research. I educated myself on, will it fit me and my personality, my lifestyle? Is it accessible? And I made that investment. And, you know, and having lots of injuries over the years, you know, I work with Vas, and Vas is changed. I'm probably the healthiest and the fittest I've been, doing a completely different conditioning situation. And I think it's not just investment into financial products. It's an investment into you as a person, and
also
I think
invest in yourself.
Massively, and you know, use that as experience. Come and come and speak to people like myself, Guido, and David, and
why not?
And Roberto. You know, fascinating story, and look at how we failed, and you know, maybe it took me 25, 30 years to realize those risks were stupid. But actually, you can learn that knowledge now. You
By
know,
speaking
and these
those
courses
methods.
you've created are from that knowledge, right?
Absolutely.
From burning yourself with
Absolutely.
exchanges or with meme coins and stuff like that. And
We learned the hard way and try to condense all our experience in some easy to learn content. Like easy to get, not expensive. And we also offer certifications for it, so I think you get the complete package.
Not only do you learn, you get a certificate and a stamp of approval, and I think that's really important. So I wish you guys, and firstly, thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to
Thank
be
you for
here.
coming.
And I wish the company every success, and I hope some of the watchers and listeners can apply some of those life lessons that hurt us in the past and and apply and be successful as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and hopefully we'll have you on later on in this podcast.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much. Thanks, Guido. Thanks, David.
Bye.